crops farm powered by Feed 'em and Freedom Foundation. My name is John Waszczyński. I'm the Director of Sustainability. Just going to touch on a couple of quick logistical points. So we'll be having some remarks, first by Chair Vega-Pedersen, then Commissioner Jones-Dickson, with Shante Johnson rounding us out from the Feed 'em Freedom Foundation. And then after remarks, we're going to go ahead and give a tour for anybody who's interested so that the farmers here can discuss all the really cool and innovative and interesting things that are going on here at the farm. So if you have an interest in that. Also, if you haven't had coffee yet or a pastry, please help yourselves. And so I think we're ready to get started. I'm pleased to introduce Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega-Pedersen.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out here to the Crops Farm this morning. I encourage everybody to take that tour. There are so many fascinating, extraordinary, and really wonderful things happening out here, and I want everyone to get a chance to see what's going on. I am glad, and I want to give special thanks to Commissioner Vince Jones-Dickson, whose district we are in this morning, for joining for today's celebration. This is really a huge accomplishment and an often overlooked aspect of Multnomah County's economic landscape. The robust agricultural sector that thrives right here in the heart of Oregon's most urban county. And for me, I'm very much a city chick, but I will say that I have a lot of ties to this. I actually grew up in a street that ended in a cornfield. And for many years, when my kids were growing up, we spent all of our Sunday mornings at the Zenger Farm, feeding and taking care of the chickens there. And those are some of our most precious memories that my kids have, even though they're teenagers now. So to have this chance for Multnomah County to be participating in such a incredible investment and working with such great partners is really amazing. It's one of the things that makes Multnomah County such a special place to live. And it's also one of the reasons that we thrive as a community. Who among us is not reaping the incredible benefits of the farms and fresh produce that we have by living in Willamette Valley? The legacy of farming is all around us here in Multnomah County. This site long ago was part of the county's poor farm system, which was providing food and shelter to some of our neighbors who needed it the most. This is a legacy that we're building on now with crops today and every day. And I really want to thank the work of our county employees, many of whom are here today, the past and present Multnomah County board members, and our treasured community partners. Thanks to all of the work and investment over the years, this land is going to be a legacy. This land is going to be a living part of our economy here in Multnomah County, where longtime residents and new arrivals are going to be able to carve out businesses and strengthen our community in new and innovative ways. This is possible because of a public-private partnership that has blossomed into a modern demonstration farm for education, an incubator for new farmers, especially those from our Black and African immigrant communities, and a place where all are welcome to learn and build connections. So it's hard to imagine this today, but 5 years ago, this was a really gnarly blackberry bramble. Today, we have orchards, fields of produce, a barn, a greenhouse, and really innovative technologies like a biodigester and a hydroponic equipment for growing greens all year round. This is a 21st century example of sustainable agriculture that is going to see us into the future. As climate change continues to put severe pressures on our farmers with less predictable, more extreme weather, innovative technologies and practices like the ones being used here will help farmers learn how to adapt and grow food with the ongoing threat of the climate crisis. Together with Feed 'em Freedom, Multnomah County has brought life to a vision where anyone in our community can pursue a career in agriculture, where everyone can learn about how and where their food is grown, and everyone in our community has access to fresh, healthy, and culturally appropriate foods they need to keep themselves and their families healthy. This farm also fits into a wider strategy to promote healthy families and communities through access to education, healthcare, and fresh foods. with programs like Multnomah County's Health Department's REACH program, Healthy Birth Initiative, breastfeeding support, and so many other services that the county offers. I want to thank Arthur and Shantae from Freedom Feed 'em for their partnership and their leadership. I also want to thank longtime Multnomah County Project Manager Tony Weiner and Multnomah County longtime employee as well, Jerry Hunter, for all of the work that made this project a reality. And I want to spend a little bit talking about Jerry. Jerry started the CROPS program nearly 15 years ago, and his vision of healing through connection to land and food continues in on what we celebrate here today, and his work managing the Hands of Wonder Garden for Youth Restorative Justice. So thank you so much, Jerry. And if I have to say one thing, like 2 words about Jerry, purple vegetables. Like, he loves the purple vegetables. He plants them all over our garden up in the 5th floor of the Multnomah building is full of them. So thank you for all you're doing. The REACH has championed this farm, and I also want to give a special thanks for the Health Department's REACH program for supporting and promoting a vision of connecting communities to fresh, culturally appropriate foods. They continue to support farmers and families with the Prescription Community Supported Agricultural Program, which supplies families with farm fresh produce throughout the growing season. We have so much to celebrate, but especially we need to celebrate the people who have made this possible. So again, thank you to everyone who was involved in this. Today marks both an end and a beginning. The end of much hard work to develop the infrastructure and turn a field of blackberry weeds into fertile, sustainable produce fields. It is the beginning of future partnerships where we will see our community's connection to healthy food, thriving working lands, and community building grow in more ways than one. When the county started this program, we called it CROPS, which stands for Community Reaps Our Produce and Shares. And that's what today is truly about. I'm proud that we are continuing that legacy, growing community, growing fresh and healthy food, and sharing that bounty together. So again, thanks everyone for being here to help us celebrate today. I am now happy to turn things over to the Commissioner for District 4, Vince Jones-Dixon.
All right, I'm gonna go surfing. Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Let's hear it again. It's a big day. Again, welcome to District 4 in Multnomah County. My name is Commissioner Jones-Dixon. I'm wearing a Multnomah County Farm Bureau hat because I went on a tour in Clackamas County a couple weeks ago, and one of the farmers asked me, "What do you raise?" And I said, "Children." I don't raise anything, but I'm beyond excited to be here. My journey with Art and Shantae began before I was an elected official. About almost a decade ago, I had to ask. I was at a community event. You guys were doing a community class on farming outside of the food bank. That was about 8 years ago. And that was my first time learning about just the different fruits that you can grow at home specifically. So I'm beyond excited and honored to this is not only a beginning, it's a continuation of the work. So just want to say thank you again, Shantae and Art, thank you for stepping up. I know you're usually back there working. For me this morning, this is just it's a prime example of what we can get done when we work together and through partnerships. So again, thank you to the county and all of the farmers that have helped to not only do this project, but other projects throughout East Multnomah County. Most people, when they think of East Multnomah County, they think of food deserts. But because of the work that you guys have been cultivating and providing and the constant hours, it's the complete opposite. We have leaders not only locally, but you guys are also leaders nationally as it pertains to just food systems in general. I'm hearing stories in the prisons as far as the work that you're leading and cultivating and setting an example. And I just want to thank again you all for just your service. Chair, you touched on just about everything as it pertains to our commitment. And also, I just want to just say our firm commitment is also to continue the partnerships and to go even deeper. We have Mount Hood Community College out here. We have the schools and others that are trying to figure out just creative ways to address the needs within the community, especially with our federal government and the challenges. And it is an opportunity to be creative. We have shown that over the last decade, and I look forward to continuing the work moving forward. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Shantae and Art. And yes, Art, you have to come up here as well. I know you like to be in the shadows to hear about the future and what we have going on here. So let's give it up.
Good morning, everybody. We're really excited to welcome you to Feed 'em Freedom's Crops Farm today. We're really proud to be in community with Multnomah County Office of Sustainability, the county, the city of Troutdale, the Oregon Food Bank, and many of the commissioners. We'd like to thank the descendants for being the original stewards and protectors of these lands since time immemorial. We also acknowledge the systematic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impact many Indigenous Native American families today. We lift up that Indigenous people are still here and are still connected to and caring for the land. We're honored to be guests upon these lands and committed to being good relatives on these lands. Alice Walker says, "We cannot be ourselves without the land." Arthur and I are definitely living in our purpose. And as Arthur says, we answer the call, the ancestral call back to the land. We'd also like to thank our ancestors, our grandmothers, that really laid the foundation of what it means to be of service. And Ora Lee and Johnny Jewell, the matriarchs of our families, really showed us what it meant to give back to community. And so they started community farms and gardens all over the Portland metro area. They also gave back to community with sharing food and resources. And that's really what fuels this work. And to be able to be of service is really a blessing in itself. I'm a little nervous today, so just bear with me. So Feed 'em Freedom was started probably about 5 years ago out of the work of Mudbone Grown. And Arthur and I are both Portland born and raised. And we started farming probably about 15 years ago. And when we first got into farming, we met many folks along the path, one of which was Jerry Hunter. I have a background in community health. I was a community health worker and also worked for the REACH program, which this is all very much a full circle moment, working with the county in a different way. And Arthur was truck driving at the time. And for us, we just wanted to start farming to be able to show our children, our 6 children, what it means to be resilient and to live off of the land. And we came out to the farm that was across the railroad tracks that Jerry was stewarding. And he had an amazing farm over there with bees and tons of food that he was giving back to Snowcap at the time. And we were really inspired. Even though we come from farming families ourselves, and we're able to see that like it was time for us to step back into that. And so when we were able to be awarded this, the RFP process for this particular site, Jerry was already stewarding this land, and it was very hard because he was having to start from scratch. And so I want to acknowledge all of the hard work, the grit, the love, the foundation that Jerry has been able to lay for us to be able to continue and build upon this work. Because it's really about the folks that come before us. We never wanted to do this work alone, and to be able to move this work forward in the way that this land has been able to grow has been really exciting. Feed 'em Freedom, as an organization, we've experienced a lot of growth over the past 5 years. Oregon Food Bank has helped us to be able to establish our nonprofit. And there's so much that has happened. You have to forgive me. We're very much in the high farming season, so I'm a little bit nervous today. But Feed 'em Freedom started off with just a dream of being able to expand upon our work with Mudbone Grown. And we created 3 agricultural training programs over 3 or 4 years. And from that, we learned that we wanted to be able to give back to community even more. And so what that looks like is this particular farm, like was already mentioned, was just blackberries. And we started off in that field over there. And there was no electricity and no water. And we were really thankful to be able to work with both Johns, John Iser and John W., and also Tony, to be able to activate this site and realize our dreams. It's been 5 years in the making of getting the water. Took about 2 years. Electricity, we just got electricity. So a lot of what you see here today, really the infrastructure and the foundation of this, the bulk of it happened within the last 2 years. So if you can imagine growing from blackberries to this, it's a pretty quick turnaround. We're able to provide food to about 200 families a week through Care Oregon and Zinger Farm. And we also run a food pantry off of 131st and Sandy. And so the food that's grown here also goes into that food pantry. We're able to also support other Black, Indigenous, POC farmers with contracts to be able to push that food out. So we get some amazing things like goat, lamb, beef, fresh, culturally specific produce out to the community that needs it the most. We also have a smaller farm over in Rockwood Village. That's about 1 acre, and we're able to get a lot of food. And so a lot of our work is centered in East County. And yes, so when we take the tour, we'll talk about all of our different community partners, but I can tell you, like, the infrastructure here has been a game changer for us. To be able to have the barn, to build out our CSA shares. We have cold storage here now, and so we're able to share these resources with other farmers like ourselves. We've worked with about 30 different producers over the past couple years to be able to get their food out into community. We have our hydroponics system, which I'll let Art geek out with all of y'all about that a little bit later. We also have our hydroponics system that's right next to it. And we have an amazing greenhouse, thanks to Growing Gardens, one of our community partners, to be able to get not only be able to get plant starts out to community as well. And so it's more than just giving people food, right? It's also showing people the pathway to be able to grow it for themselves. And that's the direction I think that we all should be going in, is showing folks how to do it themselves instead of just giving folks a handout. So I just want to say we're just very grateful for all of the investments that also have been put into this project. Earl Blumenauer's office gave us funding to be able to put a lot of this infrastructure in. Wyden's office has been great supporters. Oregon Food Bank. The county has been a very amazing community partner of ours. I mean, meeting every week for years. And John almost probably pulling his hair out because I'm like, where is our electricity so we can get this stuff done, or Tony? I have to say, we're very grateful and thankful for your partnership and the opportunity to expand upon our work. And so this project in itself means that other farmers can have contracts, have opportunities to grow their own farm businesses, to be able to have food for 500 plus people a week out of this particular site, and to have an agricultural education center so that we can bring youth and inspire the next generation of farmers. And so I just want to say I'm very thankful. Thank you to our crew also, because we can't do this work alone. They worked very, very hard over the past weeks and years to be able to bring this project to life. And I also want to thank Art, because without Art, a lot of this wouldn't happen. So now I'd like to thank bring up the chair and Commissioner Vincent and Tony
Come on up, Tony.
to receive their flowers.
You guys are getting flowers.
Nobody leaves Arthur and Shantae without some produce from the land. You know,
These are from
Right from our orchard, yes.
These flowers are right from our orchard over there. I forgot to mention Portland Fruit Tree Project and our Flowers to the Folks program grows these beautiful flowers here on site.
Okay, you gotta get a picture. Let's get
Thank you so much.
We also have something else for you. We'd like to also provide